Kaylin, we are starting tonight with breaking news at the Columbiana Center where at least 12 people were injured after a shooting inside the mall this afternoon. We have team coverage on the scene right now. We're going to start our team coverage with News 19's Kaylin Hagwood.
Well, Darcy, just about an hour ago, Chief Holbrook was here briefing the media on what happened, and he says it started around 2 o'clock is when law enforcement was called in because of a shooting inside the mall, as you mentioned. Now, they had been working still and at this point to clear the inside of the mall as they asked employees to shelter in place for fear of what could be happening. They do have 3 people detained. They say they don't believe it was a random shooting, but that the folks knew each other. Those folks are not suspects as they are continuing to investigate. But I want you to hear a little bit from the chief directly.
We still have law enforcement teams inside the mall. We've accounted for everybody that's been injured, and I'll speak to that in just a moment. But the reason we still have teams inside the mall is they're clearing. It's a large mall. We're clearing stores.
We are going to continue our team coverage now with News 19's Whitney Sullivan. Whitney, when police received that 911 call, there were thousands of people in the area. As Kaylin just mentioned, you were across the street from the mall. What did you see?
Yeah, Darcy, so I was actually in the movie. That was at AMC Harbison when I received the WLTX alert that a shooting had took place. So the movie ended about 30 to 45 minutes after I received that alert. As soon as I walked outside of the movie theater, and to help, again, provide context, it is directly across the street from the mall. I mean, I could walk to the mall from where this theater is at. As soon as I walked outside, you can see the area was filled with different law enforcement vehicles, and this has been, from what I saw, the largest response with different multiple agencies in my career as a journalist. I mean, we saw Richland County Sheriff deputies, Columbia Police, SLED. There was a Lexington Medical Ambulance bus. So many different law enforcement entities on the scene.
Again, thousands of people in that area when the shooting happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. News 19's Walker Lawson is continuing our team coverage. Walker, I know you've had an opportunity to speak to people who were in the mall when all of this unfolded.
That's right, Darcy. So I got here around 2:45 this afternoon, and that was the first look that I could see of the mall was law enforcement everywhere. People were coming out of the mall, so there was a good amount of people walking around. I went ahead and drove over towards the JCPenney where there were a good amount of people coming out in the Forever 21, and I spoke to some people right after they had left the mall. This is what they had to say.
I just got there about 5 minutes before it happened. My daughter was actually there all day. It was a pretty scary event.
As we mentioned moments ago, there were a number of law enforcement agencies that reported to that breaking news, that shooting situation. The Lexington County Sheriff's Department reporting a reunification site is now being set up for those who have family that were involved in the shooting at the mall. They're located at 320 Columbiana Drive. That is the Fairfield Inn. Again, Lexington County Sheriff's Department saying if you are looking for someone that you have not been reunified with, go to the Fairfield Inn on Columbiana Drive. And if you have any information about today's shooting, you've got that number on your screen, 803-545-3525. They are asking you to dial that number if you have any information that can help law enforcement as they continue to investigate. Again, 3 people detained. Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook careful not to call them suspects, but this investigation is still in its infancy. We have team coverage tonight. We start with News 19's Kaylin Hagwood, who was one of our first crews to arrive on the scene. Kaylin.
The scene is clear here at Columbiana Center Mall Saturday night after 10 people were shot earlier in the day. Police worked throughout the evening to evacuate the building and locate employees who were asked to shelter in place.
So here's a closer look at the layout inside of Columbiana Mall. The shooting happened near the Gap store. That's where we're told the 911 call initially came in about the shooter. And as you can see, this is the Gap store. And this is the food court where hundreds of people were trying to make their exit.